Now, the Mavericks were already at an interesting point heading into this season with this whole Luka experience, and this is pre and post trade deadline. First of all, Mark Cuban sold the team to Patrick Dumont and his family, who own a bunch of casinos out there in Las Vegas, as they're trying to make an expansion bid all the way down into Texas, way before they start legalizing gambling. And the whole sale of the team was quite interesting because at first Mark Cuban did not sell key important shares that would give over full control to the Dumont family, and eventually he ended up doing so. But all this wasn't done before Cuban had made sure that he locked up his star player in Luka Doncic. So fast forward to just before this year's trade deadline, the Mavericks had did a pick swap with OKC, acquiring a first overall pick, and they were trying to package that up with another first overall pick for 2027 to get Kyle Kuzma. But things got quite interesting because in their attempt to obtain Kuzma, he made some interesting remarks about the trade. You guys check it out.
In my career, I won a championship. So, I understand that when we play this game of basketball, it's not about contending for a playoff spot. It's about contending for an NBA championship. There's only like 3 or 4 contenders, true contenders. I just felt like our timelines didn't line up.
Now that's interesting. Kuzma had made a remark like that their timeline did not add up because Kuzma is already 28. He's pretty much locked into no man's land, aka the Washington Wizards, until he's 31. And the Mavs have a star like Kyrie Irving who's in his 30s, and they have numerous players that are in their 30s. And you can add on top of that guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dwight Powell. But the timing of these comments were interesting because earlier in the week, Spencer Dinwiddie was bought out, and people thought it was a possibility for him to join the Mavs. And he said things that kind of implied that the Mavs were not ready for a championship. But this is what he said when he was asked about joining the Mavs.
I'll give y'all something funny that I told my people because I'm fairly candid. The two situations kind of felt like this, right? Let's say you were a kid and you got your ass whooped by the bully. Dallas would have been like your mama being like, it's okay, baby, don't worry about it. Lakers are like, your dad, nah, you better go out there and fight till you win. You feel me? And I just felt like that was what I needed at the time.
Wow. What is he trying to say about the culture out there in Dallas? And who exactly are they telling that it's okay to? I don't think they're telling all the players that. I think he's implying that's the way they treat Luka out there. But since Kuzma let it be known that he wasn't feeling Dallas, the Mavericks end up sending a 2027 pick to the Hornets to get PJ Washington, and they traded away Grant Williams. And after Grant Williams played his first game with the Hornets, getting a nice victory, this is what he had to say, and even more jabs came out the Mavericks' way.
It's great to get a win for the city and play for the jersey that's across your chest, not on your back. Everybody touched the ball. We trusted one another.
Now that right there was strike 3. The Mavericks right now, overall, the culture is being tested over there, as a lot of players are kind of framing it a certain way. You look at the fallout that happened with Kristaps Porzingis, and also through the years, the type of environment that's around the Mavericks has pretty much been Luka driven. We've seen them yell at former GMs and presidents right on the court during games. We've seen coaches get fired. It's clearly obvious that the Mavericks cater to Luka, and among NBA player circles, it's obvious that they pretty much pointed out that environment is toxic. Now going forward into the future for the new Dallas Mavericks owner, Mr. Dumont, he's going to have to pay for the previous sins of Mark Cuban, because the Mavericks has sacrificed a lot of assets for basically what has pretty much resulted in a bunch of do-over situations. The Kristaps Porzingis acquisition failed. They still owe the Knicks a first-round pick for this current season or in 2025 if it doesn't somehow convey. They sent out a 2027 first-round pick for PJ Washington, 2029 first-round pick for Kyrie, and they currently hold a 2026 pick in which they cannot trade due to the fact that you can't trade a certain amount of consecutive years. And they also sent out a 2028 first-round pick for Daniel Gafford. So the Mavericks are almost asset strapped. So you can even take a step back and look at this trade deadline. They basically gave up 2 first-round picks for guys that are not even their third best players, you could say, on the team. I mean, Gafford off rip is going to be their best rebounder, but PJ Washington, you don't even really know what he is. He's sort of this power forward combo wing who doesn't really shoot consistent enough, but at the same time, he can't defend in the post. So it's 50-50 with him. So the Mavericks are asset strapped. And we all know how Luka is. He gets frustrated very easily. This is going to make for an interesting conundrum for this new owner to keep Luka happy, which the Mavericks having Luka on their team is what keeps up that $1 billion evaluation that he purchased the team for. But for now, Luka seems happy, as right here he's going to express how he loves to have input on the roster construction.
How important has it been for you to be vocal about what you want to see with this team in terms of the acquisitions with PJ and now Daniel? How important is it for you to be vocal about that?
I mean, you can see how important it is. You see the impact they have, so I think it's really important.
So as you can see, it's really important for Luka to have input. But this season, we're kind of seeing the repercussions of superstars giving a little bit too much input, as it's playing out in Milwaukee with Giannis having input on that coach and putting pressure on them getting Damian Lillard, who right now the transition to him joining the Bucks hasn't been quite as seamless as they thought. The Bucks have become a lot weaker, especially out on the perimeter, and their transition defense is one of the worst in the league. And things have pretty much gone so far left, and it's led the Bucks to actually hunker down and make a firm decision in hiring an experienced head coach in Doc Rivers, which they should have initially had done. Not a first-time coach to lead a group of guys that have high expectations for a team that's highly expensive and is definitely going to enter into the luxury tax. But as far as the Mavericks, it's not a good look. You could tell from players' inner circles, the word is out on the culture that exists down there. And things are not a good look when you see Kuzman rather stay in NBA purgatory, aka the Washington Wizards, and just fall to an abyss of just irrelevance, than to come to Dallas and perhaps play against a MVP caliber player like Luka and Kyrie. So we'll see how this plays out. This is definitely going to be an interesting time for the Dallas Mavericks the next few years, with no first round picks just in 2026 and in 2030. And with a few aging stars like Kyrie Irving on the roster, and a new NBA owner that's definitely going to have to be on his P's and Q's when it comes to pleasing Luka. Because if he wants to keep the evaluation of the Dallas Mavericks close to what he purchased the team for, he's going to need Luka to be there. But until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.